Commander Jake Miller stood rigid in his pressed uniform, trying not to fidget as the enormous doors to the Galactic Council chamber slowly parted. His heart pounded in his chest. After decades of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, first contact had occurred just 6 months ago. Now, as leader of Earth's first diplomatic mission, he carried the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. The chamber beyond the doors took his breath away. A vast circular room stretched before him, with tiered seating rising hundreds of feet upward. Each section contained beings so varied in form that Jake's mind struggled to process them all. Some resembled insects with gleaming carapaces, others were amorphous clouds of gas contained in floating spheres, while many appeared almost human-like, but with subtle differences that made them distinctly alien. Presenting the representatives of Sol System, planet Earth, announced a metallic voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Jake led his small team of 5 forward. Dr. Reed walked beside him, Earth's leading xenobiologist, followed by General Pierce, Ambassador Wilson, and 2 security officers. They approached the central platform where a tall, blue-skinned humanoid waited. "I am Diplomat Voris, first speaker of the council," the alien said in perfect English, its translator implant glowing softly at its throat. "We welcome Earth to this gathering of civilized worlds." The formal words were welcoming, but Jake noted the subtle condescension in Voris's tone. "Thank you, first speaker," Jake replied. "Earth is honored to join the galactic community." A sound rippled through the chamber, a strange clicking, whistling noise that Jake's translator couldn't parse. It took him a moment to realize it was laughter. "The human says they are joining us," called out a bulky reptilian creature from a middle tier. "Do they not understand their position?" Voris raised a 4-fingered hand for silence. "Forgive Council Member Trell. What he means is that Earth has been granted provisional observer status only. Full membership requires certain achievements." Jake kept his expression neutral. "And what achievements would those be?" "Surely it's obvious," said another voice, belonging to a being that resembled a tall, slender mantis. "You are a single-planet species, a primitive." Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Dr. Reed leaned close to Jake. "They're judging us based on territory." Voris seemed to hear this. "Not merely territory, human. Security. Any truly advanced civilization understands that keeping all life limited to one world is the mark of either stupidity or suicidal tendencies." The chamber grew quiet as Voris gestured to a holographic display that appeared in the center of the room. It showed the Milky Way galaxy, with hundreds of points of light scattered throughout. "Each light represents a member civilization," Voris explained. "The color indicates how many worlds they have successfully colonized. As you can see, even the youngest members have established at least 3 colony worlds." Jake studied the display. The lights ranged from yellow to deep purple, with the latter clearly indicating the most expansive civilizations. "Earth would be white," Voris said. "Singular. Vulnerable. 1 asteroid, 1 solar flare, 1 planetary disaster from extinction." General Pierce muttered, "They think we haven't tried. We've barely managed to put a research station on Mars." "Your technological limitations are your own problem," said Trell dismissively. "The rest of us solved interstellar travel millennia ago." Jake felt anger rising but forced it down. "Earth may be a single world, but it's a world with much to offer. We request the opportunity to prove our worth to the Council." Voris studied Jake for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well. Provisional status is granted. You have 1 solar cycle to demonstrate what value, if any, a single-planet species might bring to our collective." As Jake and his team were escorted from the chamber, the strange alien laughter followed them. Back aboard their ship, Ambassador Wilson summed up what they were all feeling. "They see us as cosmic infants," she said, "but they don't know Earth. They don't know humans." Jake nodded grimly. "And that's exactly what we're going to teach them." The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks in the faster-than-light shuttle provided by the Council. Commander Jake spent most of that time staring at the stars, his mind racing with plans and possibilities. Earth needed to prove its worth, but how? Upon their return, world leaders gathered in the newly constructed Galactic Relations Complex in Geneva. The mood was tense as Jake and his team delivered their report. "They laughed at us," Jake said plainly to the assembled presidents, prime ministers, and chairpersons. "They see us as primitive because we haven't spread to multiple planets. We have 1 year, 1 solar cycle, to show them why Earth deserves respect." President Chen of the United Pacific Alliance leaned forward. "What exactly are they looking for?" "Something unique," Ambassador Wilson replied. "Some contribution only Earth can make to their galactic society." The room erupted in heated discussion. Some nations wanted to accelerate space colonization efforts. Others suggested sharing Earth's artistic and cultural achievements. A few even proposed offering rare Earth resources as tribute. Dr. Reed, who had been quietly analyzing data since their return, stood up suddenly. "That's not the answer," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "I've been reviewing the biological scans we took of various council species. There's something extraordinary about humans they don't seem to understand." She activated the room's display system, showing side-by-side comparisons of human DNA with alien genetic structures. "Look at the adaptation markers," she continued. "Most council species show extremely specialized evolutionary patterns. They're perfectly adapted to their home environments, but those environments are remarkably stable." Tom Fisher, head of the Global Science Consortium, caught on quickly. "Are you suggesting what I think you are?" Reed nodded. "Earth isn't just different because we haven't expanded. Earth itself is different from most habitable planets." She brought up new images, charts showing Earth's geological and climate history. Most homeworlds of council species have been stable for millions of years. No ice ages, no major asteroid impacts, no dramatic shifts in atmospheric composition, no significant tectonic activity. The room grew quiet as understanding dawned. "We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us 1,000 different ways," Tom said softly. "And that made us different." Over the next few days, a special task force formed around this insight. Tom and Dr. Maria Lopez, Earth's leading evolutionary biologist, led the research efforts, digging deeper into the information they had gathered from the Council's database. Jake found them in the lab late one night, surrounded by holographic displays and looking exhausted but excited. "Commander, we found it," Maria said, barely containing her enthusiasm. "Most council species evolved in environments so stable they never needed to adapt to major changes. Their homeworlds are paradises with perfect conditions. Some have never even experienced a natural disaster." Tom pointed to a series of comparative physiological scans. "They're specialized, efficient in their native environments, but incredibly vulnerable to change. Humans, by contrast, can survive in environments ranging from Arctic to desert. We can eat almost anything. We can learn to thrive almost anywhere." Jake frowned. "But many of them have better technology. Some can even survive in space without special equipment." "Technology isn't the same as adaptability," Maria explained. "Their technological solutions are as specialized as they are. When faced with unexpected problems, they struggle to innovate." Tom brought up footage from the Council archives showing an alien evacuation during a minor solar storm. The aliens appeared disorganized, following rigid protocols that clearly weren't working in the crisis. "Earth's history is a series of catastrophes," Tom continued. "Ice ages, supervolcanoes, meteors, rapid climate shifts. Life on Earth doesn't just survive, it adapts and thrives despite constant change." Jake began to understand. "So our single planet isn't a weakness. It's a forge," Maria finished for him. "Earth isn't just a planet. It's the most effective crucible for creating adaptable life in this part of the galaxy." Jake stared at the data, a plan forming in his mind. Now we just need to prove it to them. 3 months after their return from the Council, Earth's Special Task Force prepared to present their findings. Jake paced nervously in his quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel as it approached the massive council station, orbiting a gas giant in neutral space. Dr. Reed had assembled compelling evidence, but would the aliens listen to a single-planet primitive? The presentation chamber was smaller than the main council hall, but still impressive with its curved transparent ceiling, showing the swirling storms of the gas giant below. About 30 representatives from different council species had gathered to hear Earth's initial research findings. You claim to have identified a contribution unique to your species, Diplomat Voris said, opening the session. The council is willing to listen, though many remain skeptical. Dr. Reed stepped forward, calm and professional despite the array of alien eyes studying her. Thank you, first speaker. Our research focuses not on what humans have accomplished, but on what Earth itself has created, a type of life unlike any we've observed in council records. She activated the holographic display, showing Earth's turbulent history. In the past million years alone, Earth has experienced 7 major ice ages, countless volcanic eruptions, dramatic sea level changes, and at least one near-extinction asteroid impact. This level of planetary instability is rare among worlds that produce intelligent life. The mantis-like being Jake had seen before clicked its mandibles. This merely confirms your homeworld's inferiority. Most civilized species evolved on stable worlds with predictable conditions, the mark of a planet suitable for advanced life. With respect, Council Member, Tom interjected, we believe this assumption is incorrect. Stability doesn't create resilience. It creates specialization. Maria stepped forward with new data. We've analyzed the physiological and psychological profiles of 23 council species. All show remarkable adaptation to specific conditions, but limited ability to function outside their native environments without technological assistance. A ripple of discomfort moved through the alien audience. Humans, by contrast, can survive in environments ranging from near freezing to desert heat. Maria continued, we can digest a vast range of foods. Our bodies can adapt to different gravity conditions, radiation levels, and atmospheric pressures. All within certain limits, of course, but with far greater flexibility than we've observed in other species. The Reptilian Council member Trell rose from his seat, scales flushing a deep orange. This is absurd. You claim superiority because your world is chaotic. Many species here mastered space travel while yours was still huddling in caves. Not superiority, Jake clarified quickly. Difference. A potentially valuable difference. Reed brought up comparison data showing how council species responded to unexpected environmental changes. The results were striking. Even technologically advanced aliens showed poor adaptation to novel challenges. Your homeworlds taught you to expect consistency, Reed explained. Earth taught us to expect disaster. Every human civilization has faced catastrophes, floods, earthquakes, volcanic winters, plagues. Those that survived did so through flexibility, creativity, and rapid adaptation. An elder alien with translucent skin and glowing internal organs spoke up. I have reviewed their data. There is some merit to their hypothesis, though it requires further study. Voris considered this. This is merely theory. Do you have practical demonstrations of this supposed adaptability? Jake stepped forward. We've prepared several challenge scenarios based on real situations from council archives, where established protocols failed. We propose a series of tests where human teams compete against council teams to solve unexpected problems. The chamber erupted in discussion. Many council members seemed offended by the suggestion, but others appeared intrigued. Voris raised a hand for silence. An interesting theory, humans, but theories mean little without proof. Your challenge scenarios will be reviewed and, if deemed fair, approved for testing. As the session ended, Jake caught a conversation between 2 aliens he didn't recognize. Ridiculous, one was saying. Their planet sounds like a nightmare. Perhaps, replied the other, but have you noticed? They don't seem afraid of anything. Not even us. Jake allowed himself a small smile. They were beginning to understand. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was the ultimate training ground for survival in an unpredictable universe. The planned challenge scenarios never happened. 2 weeks after Earth's presentation to the Council, fate provided a test more convincing than any human could have designed. Jake was in the middle of a video conference with the Earth Task Force when alarms blared through the diplomatic vessel. The ship's AI announced in its calm voice, "Emergency Council broadcast. Critical situation at Mining Outpost Kappa 9. All available assistance requested." "What's happening?" Jake asked the communications officer. "Massive solar flare from the binary star system near Kappa 9, she replied, scanning incoming data. "The outpost's shields are failing. There are over 3,000 workers on that station." Diplomat Vorus's face appeared on the main screen. "All Council vessels in the sector are directed to assist. The situation is dire." His eyes moved to Jake. "Human vessel, your assistance is not required. This is beyond your capabilities." Jake felt a surge of anger at the dismissal, but kept his expression neutral. "We're monitoring the situation, diplomat. Our ship is ready to help if needed." Over the next 6 hours, they watched as 3 different Council rescue missions failed. The solar activity had created radiation conditions and electromagnetic interference that the alien ships weren't prepared to handle. Their specialized systems kept failing in the chaotic environment. "They're using the wrong approach," Dr. Reed said, analyzing the data. "They keep trying to maintain perfect conditions rather than adapting to the changing situation." Tom, who had joined the diplomatic mission as a science advisor, nodded in agreement. "This is exactly what we were talking about. Their technology is advanced but inflexible." Jake made his decision. "Prepare our shuttle. We're going in." "Commander," the pilot protested, Vorus specifically said. "I know what he said," Jake cut in. "But we can help those people, and that's what we're going to do." The human shuttle was smaller and less advanced than the Council vessels, but it carried something the others didn't, a crew used to improvising. As they approached the mining outpost, the radiation alarms screamed warnings. "Shields down to 40%, reported the pilot. "Communications are spotty at best." Jake nodded grimly. "Just like the Kashmir earthquake rescue in '38, we work with what we have." They reached the outpost to find its main docking bay damaged. 3 alien ships hovered nearby, unable to establish a safe connection. "We'll have to use the emergency airlock on the station's underside," Jake decided. "It's going to be a rough docking with all this radiation interference." The pilot, a veteran of the Mars dust storm rescues, guided the shuttle through the turbulent energy waves surrounding the station. The ship shuddered and groaned as the radiation hammered their shields. "Shields at 15%, 10%. We're cutting it close, Commander." With a metallic clang, they connected to the emergency airlock. Jake led the rescue team inside, where they found dozens of aliens huddled in the central chamber. Many were clearly injured, and the station's life support was failing. "We need to move quickly," Jake told his team. "Standard Earth emergency protocols. Teams of 2. Prioritize the injured who can be moved safely." An alien station manager approached them, its breathing labored. "Your vessel is too small to evacuate everyone." "We're not evacuating yet," Jake explained. "First, we're going to repair your main shields." The alien's compound eyes widened. "Impossible in this radiation." Jake smiled grimly. "Maybe for you. On Earth, we repair nuclear reactors during meltdowns." Over the next 12 hours, the human team worked tirelessly, using improvised radiation shielding and manual overrides for systems fried by electromagnetic pulses. They stabilized the station's core functions. When the main Council rescue fleet finally arrived after the solar activity subsided, they found the outpost damaged but intact, with all 3,000 workers alive. As Jake's exhausted team prepared to return to their ship, Vorus himself approached them on the station's command deck. "You disobeyed a direct order," the diplomat said, but there was something new in his voice, not anger, but confusion, perhaps even respect. Where we come from, Jake replied. We don't leave people to die when we can help. Voris studied him for a long moment. Perhaps we have misunderstood what it means to be advanced. News of the Kappa 9 rescue spread quickly through Council space. The human shuttle, far less advanced than Council vessels, had succeeded where others failed. More importantly, the humans had adapted their approach rather than following standard protocols. 1 week after the incident, Jake and his team were summoned to the main council chamber. The atmosphere was noticeably different from their first visit. There were no mocking laughs, no dismissive gestures. Instead, the alien representatives watched the humans with new intensity. Commander Miller, Diplomat Voris began formally. This council has reviewed the events at Mining Outpost Kappa 9. Your actions were unexpected. Jake stood tall. We did what anyone from Earth would do in that situation. That, said Voris, is precisely what interests us. He gestured to a senior council member Jake hadn't met before, a being with gray skin that seemed almost stone-like, with deep cracks running across its surface. This is Elder Mentor Clox, Voris explained, one of our most respected historians and the keeper of the ancient records. The stone-like being moved forward slowly. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. For 5,000 years, I have studied the patterns of civilizations in our galaxy. There is a disturbing trend that few wish to acknowledge. The chamber grew silent as holographic displays activated, showing timelines of various alien civilizations. 82% of spacefaring civilizations collapse within 30,000 years of achieving interstellar travel, Clox continued. Not from war or resource depletion as most assume, but from inability to adapt to unexpected catastrophes. Murmurs spread through the chamber as many council members shifted uncomfortably. The Zith Collective, Clox pointed to one timeline, spread to 17 worlds before a new stellar phenomenon disrupted their carefully calibrated communication systems. Rather than adapt, their centralized government fragmented. Within 3 centuries, their civilization had regressed to pre-space technology. The Elder Mentor moved to another display. The Gantari established 53 colony worlds, each an exact replica of their homeworld's perfect conditions. When a cosmic radiation wave affected their region of space, all 53 colonies failed simultaneously. They had no diversity in their approaches, no backup systems designed for different conditions. Jake exchanged glances with Dr. Reed, who nodded slightly. This confirmed their theory. Your demonstration at Kappa 9 was illuminating, Voris said. Your team improvised solutions using limited resources under conditions our own rescue teams deemed impossible. This, adaptability, is precisely what many council civilizations lack. Tom stepped forward. On Earth, we have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Our history forced us to become problem solvers. Elder Clox's craggy face shifted in what might have been a smile. Indeed, and now we understand what your single planet truly is. Not a primitive limitation, but a crucible. Maria joined the conversation. A crucible is exactly right. Earth's volatile environment, with its shifting continents, fluctuating climate, and regular natural disasters, created evolutionary pressure that forced life to adapt constantly. Most council homeworlds are paradises, Reed added. Perfect, stable environments that allowed great technological advancement, but never challenged their inhabitants to develop crisis resilience. Voris turned to address the full council. We have misunderstood the humans' development path. Their single-planet status is not a failure to expand, but a different type of advancement. While we spread outward to identical environments, they grew stronger by facing their world's challenges. Elder Clox nodded solemnly. The ancient records show that civilizations from volatile homeworlds like Earth are rare, but when they do emerge, they often become the most enduring species in galactic history. A tall, willowy alien with bioluminescent patterns flowing across its skin spoke up. If this is true, then humanity's value to the Council is clear. They possess crisis adaptability that most of us have lost. Voris looked down at Jake with new respect in his eyes. "Commander Miller, it seems we have much to learn from your primitive single planet. Earth is not what we thought it was. It is not merely a world, but a forge that creates resilience itself." For the first time since meeting the Council, Jake felt the balance of power shift. Earth wasn't begging for acceptance anymore. Earth had something the galaxy desperately needed. The weeks following the Council's revelation were a whirlwind of activity. Jake found himself constantly shuttling between Earth and various Council facilities as the aliens eagerly sought to understand humanity's unique development. The research team had expanded, with Tom and Maria now leading the Joint Human-Alien Scientific Committee studying Earth's history. Today, Jake stood in the archives of galactic history, a vast chamber deep within the Council's central station. The room contained data crystals holding the records of every known civilization in the galaxy's explored regions. Elder Mentor Clocks had granted him rare access to these ancient records. "What you're about to see," Clocks rumbled, "has been restricted information for millennia. Only senior council members are typically permitted to view these archives." The stone-like being placed a glowing crystal into a reader. A holographic display shimmered to life, showing star maps and timelines stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. "The Council is not the first galactic governing body," Clocks explained. "There have been 7 before us. Each lasted between 10 and 30,000 years before collapsing." Jake studied the display with growing amazement. "What happened to them?" "The pattern repeats," Clocks said. "Great expansion, technological advancement, peace and prosperity, followed by catastrophic failure when faced with an unexpected crisis." The display shifted to show various extinct alien species and their homeworlds. Jake noticed something immediately. "These worlds all look like paradise planets," he observed, "like the homeworlds of current council members." "Precisely," Clocks confirmed. "Stable, perfect environments producing specialized, advanced civilizations. But there were exceptions." The display changed again, highlighting just 3 species among hundreds. Their homeworlds looked strikingly different. Active volcanoes, dramatic weather patterns, shifting continents. These 3 species emerged from what we now call forge worlds, planets with volatile conditions similar to Earth. All 3 developed multi-planet civilizations that survived for over 100,000 years, outlasting multiple council iterations. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to them? The Vex and Cronians eventually evolved beyond physical form. The Telari still exist, though they have withdrawn to the outer rim of the galaxy. They rarely interact with younger species. Clocks moved closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "What few know is that these crisis-forged species shared a common trait. They all evolved on planets that experienced regular extinction events, like Earth." "You mean dinosaur-level extinctions?" Jake asked, stunned. "Precisely. Major planetary reset events that forced life to rebuild and adapt repeatedly." Clocks's rocky features shifted into what Jake had learned was an expression of deep respect. Earth has experienced 5 major extinction events and numerous minor ones. Each time, life recovered more resilient than before. Humans are the current product of this extraordinary evolutionary pressure. The display changed again, showing technological innovation patterns across different species. The crisis-forged civilizations showed distinctive patterns, more diverse approaches, redundant systems, decentralized governance models. The Council civilizations excel at perfecting single solutions, Clocks explained. Crisis-forged species develop multiple solutions to the same problem. When disaster strikes, having alternatives means survival. Tom and Maria entered the archive chamber, both looking excited. "Commander, we've completed our analysis of human problem-solving compared to Council species," Maria reported. "The results are exactly as we hypothesized. Humans consistently generate more varied solutions and adapt faster to changing parameters." Tom nodded eagerly. "And we've discovered something else. Council educational systems teach perfection of established methods. Earth's educational approaches encourage innovation and questioning of existing solutions. Clocks turned to Jake with grave seriousness. Now you understand the truth. The Council didn't misclassify Earth as primitive. We misunderstood what drives true advancement. Not stability and specialized perfection, but the ability to adapt and overcome chaos. Jake looked back at the display showing the long-lived crisis-forged civilizations. Does the Council truly understand what this means for humanity's place in galactic society? Some do, Clocks answered. Others resist the implications. But after Cap9, they cannot deny the evidence. Earth isn't just another world joining the galactic community. Earth may be the key to the Council's long-term survival. 1 year after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council, the Grand Chamber looked completely different to Jake's eyes. Where once he had seen mockery and condescension from the assembled aliens, now he witnessed something he'd never expected: respect. The formal reclassification ceremony was about to begin. Earth's delegation had grown from the original 5 to include 20 of humanity's top scientists, diplomats, and leaders. President Chen herself had made the journey to represent Earth's unified governments. Diplomat Voris stood at the central podium, his blue skin shimmering under the chamber's lights. This council session is called to order. Today, we formally recognize the reclassification of Sol System, planet Earth. The chamber fell silent as Voris continued. After extensive research and direct observation, this council acknowledges its error in classifying Earth as a primitive single-planet system. We now recognize Earth as something far more significant, a forge world. The term, now familiar to Jake, had become the official designation for planets with volatile conditions that produced uniquely resilient life forms. In the known galaxy, Voris explained, only 17 forge worlds have been identified. Of these, only 4 have produced spacefaring civilizations. Earth is now the 4th active forge world civilization in Council space. Elder Mentor Clock stepped forward, his stone-like body moving with slow dignity. The ancient records are clear. Species born of forge worlds have historically provided the most durable contributions to galactic civilization. Their crisis-adaptive thinking has repeatedly saved Council species from extinction-level events. Jake watched as the information sank in among Council members who had previously dismissed humans. The reptilian Trell, once so condescending, now looked thoughtful rather than scornful. President Chen rose to speak. Earth accepts this recognition with gratitude. We do not come to the stars seeking to colonize or dominate. We seek partnership, bringing our unique perspective to the challenges all life faces. Voris nodded solemnly. The Council formally extends full membership status to Earth, with special recognition of humanity's crisis adaptation expertise. Furthermore, we request that Earth establish a Galactic Resilience Academy to share your adaptive methodologies with other species. The vote that followed was unanimous, something Jake was told had not happened in over 300 Council cycles. After the ceremony, Jake found himself on an observation deck overlooking the massive space station's docking bay. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved in careful patterns, a testament to the diversity of life in the galaxy. Quite a view, isn't it? Tom said, joining him at the window. A year ago, they laughed at us for having just one planet, Jake mused. Now they're sending their best and brightest to study on Earth. Maria approached with data tablet in hand. The first exchange program is already oversubscribed. 300 alien students will arrive next month to study Earth's disaster response techniques, adaptive governance models, and crisis innovation. And our colonization efforts? Jake asked. That's the irony, Tom replied with a smile. Now that we don't need to prove ourselves by colonizing other worlds, the Council has offered us prime settlement rights on 12 compatible planets. Diplomat Voris entered the observation deck, accompanied by representatives from 7 different species, the newly formed Adaptation Committee. Commander Miller, Voris said, your team's insights have sparked a fundamental reassessment of Council priorities. For millennia, we measured advancement by technological sophistication and territorial expansion. Now we understand that resilience may be the true measure of civilization. One of the aliens, a being with feathery appendages and bright eyes, spoke up. My people have colonized 36 worlds, all carefully terraformed to match our homeworld. We never considered this a weakness until now. It's not too late to change, Jake assured them. Earth faced countless disasters before we developed our adaptive capabilities. Vorus gazed out at the stars. The Council has existed for 12,000 years, but the data suggests we were on the same path as previous galactic civilizations. Expansion without diversification, advancement without adaptability. Your single planet may have saved us from that fate. Jake smiled as he watched an Earth shuttle dock alongside massive alien vessels. The small human craft looked almost primitive next to the advanced ships, but now everyone understood. Appearances could be deceiving. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was nature's ultimate training ground, forging life tough enough to face anything the universe could throw at it. The aliens who had once laughed now came as students, learning from the single planet that had prepared its children not just to survive, but to thrive amid the stars.